Oh. Oh. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavatam Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarshini Bhagavati Ashtadashadhyayani Amba Tvamanusandadami Bhagavad Gite Bhavadveshini Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha Stunvanti Devyaistavai Vedai Sangha Kramopanishadaihi Gayanti Yam Samaga Dhyanavasthita Tadgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yoginaha Yasyantam Naviduk Sura Suragana Devaya Tasmai Namaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswati Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. My humble pranams to you all. In this beautiful 15th chapter, we see that all aspects of spirituality are very well, beautifully covered by Bhagavan Sri Krishna. Starting with what is this world, which he describes as an upside down tree where the origin is the Lord himself. And this, all the planets, all of us are branches, and the Vedas, the spiritual knowledge, are the leaves which nourish this tree. And then Bhagavan Sri talked about how to detach from this tree by the acts of detachment. Let us not get too caught up in what is happening in the world, but realize that without detachment from the world, attachment to the higher is not possible. And that's what he says, Tat Padam Tat Parimargitavyam. Yes, this path has to be followed. There is no choice. If you don't do it in this life, you'll do it in next life, or 5 lives from now, 10 lives from now. The choice is yours. Having had this knowledge, it's better to start now itself. And he says, Prasriti Purani, from where all this original knowledge has come. That path you have to follow. And then he gives us the qualities of devotee: nirmana moha jita sangha dosha adhyatma nitya vinivritta kama. So one who has no pride, no arrogance, mind is always centered in me as his true self. Such people come to me and come to my abode. And there he says, where natad bhasayate surya na shashanko na pavaka yad gatva na nivartante tadham paramam mama. He says, I am the one that illumine the sun and the moon and the stars, but they cannot illumine me because it is in my light of consciousness that everything is seen. So once you get on the spiritual path, then the Lord himself attracts you. And that is what we have studied. And then from 7th shloka onwards, Bhagavan talks about us, our biography. Who am I? I am that jiva, that individuality. And he says, Mamai Vamsho Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. Only a very small part of me has become this individual. Even though it is indivisible, this consciousness, but just as a part of space has become this room space or the part space, actually there is no division. Same way in Bhagavan, there is no division, but it appears because of conditioning, just as the wall conditionings make the room appear, or a part conditioning makes the part space different. So you and I are all part of that. And how do we function? Mana shashthani indriyani prakriti sthani karshati. So we, with our mind, attract all the sense organs, and with the mind, we interact. Mind means mind, intellect, memory, all of those. So as I get impulses, then I react, I interact. So that is how we function. And then he said, Shariram yada vapnoti yachapyut kramatishvaraha grihit vaitani samyati vayur gandha nivashayat. So he says, just as wind goes over a flower bed and collects the fragrance and carries it far, so you and I, while we are in this body, are collecting vasanas, and then we carry these vasanas into future lives. Ishvara means the head of this, that is me, who is in charge of this body, and then we keep it into the next life. So the idea is that you can either collect fragrance or you can collect a foul smell. So similarly, our choice is, do we make our life fragrant or do we make our life foul? And that is our choice. So that is how we are supposed to live in this world. That is how a jiva should function. So let my life be fragrance, not only for people here, but continue with that until I finally become one with that. Yatha pravritti prasrita purani, just from where this whole universe has come, I merge into that existence. I actually came from that, but only in human birth we have the ability to evolve. Even in heaven, we just go to enjoy the experiences and then continue the journey. So even the devas want to be born as humans to continue the journey. And it is said that a human who has done very good karmas can be born as a deva, but his journey is not complete until this final merger with that supreme reality happens, which is enlightenment, where then there is no difference between the individual and the total. Even right now, there is no difference between me and God. It is just my ignorance. And we'll be talking in more detail about that. How does this happen? Why do I not feel my connection with God? And why is this difference? And how we can overcome that? So today's shlokas will continue the journey of the jiva, the individual. And we'll start with shloka number 9. So chapter 15, shloka number 9. Lata, may please chant. Shrotram chakshusparshanam cha.
Shotram chakshusparshanam cha.
Rasanam ghranam eva cha.
Rasanam ghranameva cha.
Adhishthaya manaschayam.
Adhisthaya manaschayam.
Vishayanupasevate.
Vishayanupasevate.
All together. Shrotram chakshusparshanam cha. rasanam granam evacha adhisthaya manaschayan vishayanupasevate. So, the very simple translation of these words we'll do first, and then see what are the subtle meanings. We'll go a little bit depth into who this jiva is. So the simple translation is Shrotram, ears, Chakshu, eyes, Sparshanam, skin, Rasanam, tongue, and Granam, nose. So with the eyes, ears, skin, tongue, and nose, I perceive the world of forms, objects, tastes, touch, smells. So all this world we perceive. And how do we perceive? Adhisthaya manaschayam. Adhisthaya means sitting on top of or controlling this mana, I am. So this I am, this jiva, what does it do? It controls the mind and intellect and all that, and it governs all the five senses where they perceive the world of objects. So Vishayan upasevate. Vishayan means the sense objects. Upasevate means it enjoys, suffers. Some perceptions give us joy, some perceptions give us sorrow. So upasevate, it experiences. So that is the superficial meaning, and this shloka is over here. Then there is no more commentary. But if we look into detail, what constitutes me, what constitutes us, this jiva? So they say there are four aspects. One is the gross body. We all perceive that. I have this body, male, female, young, old, whatever. Then I have the mind and intellect, which is called the subtle body. And then there is the light of consciousness, which is called Atma, consciousness, Brahman, which illumines. But how are these two connected? How are the consciousness connected with this gross and subtle body? One is inert and one is alive. And how are they connected? What makes the consciousness illumine? So they say the fourth factor is the Chidabhasa, which is the reflection of consciousness. When the consciousness is reflected in the mind and intellect, which is very subtle, which has the ability to reflect, just as a mirror has the ability to reflect light, but the rock does not. So also the subtle body has the ability to reflect consciousness. Our gross body cannot. So when this Chidabhasa manifests in the mind and intellect, then I say I am alive. And we need all four components. If there is no gross body, then what will that person be? A ghost. You can't interact with a person who has no gross body. If there is no subtle body, the subtle body is gone, this person is dead. Then we have to cremate him or bury him. Obviously, the consciousness is there at all times. There is never a time when consciousness is not there, but the reflection of consciousness with the subtle body happens. Then only this person becomes alive. That is called sahaja. That is the direct attachment of the consciousness with the subtle body. The consciousness with the gross body only interacts as long as my karmas are there. Once my prarabdha karma is over, then this person goes away, then his body is dropped. And the attachment with the ego is called Bhranti Janya, means even though my true nature is consciousness, I have this Bhranti, I have this illusion that I am this limited human being. So that is where the ignorance is there, and that's where Vedanta wants to strike at, that telling us that you are not this limited body, and we keep repeating because we very quickly forget that. And we'll talk about why do we forget. That we'll cover today. So how does this reflection happen in Atma Bodh? You are all studying. It is said, Panch Koshadi Yogena Tat Tanmaya Iva Sthitaha Shuddhatma Nila Vastradi Yogena Sphatiko Yatha. I think you just studied in Atma Bodh, where it says that Just as when there is a crystal and there is a blue cloth kept near the crystal, which is colorless, the crystal gets an appearance of blue. It suddenly starts looking blue, actually is not blue. Similarly, the Atma, which is actually has no qualities, but because of closeness of this Atma with this gross body and subtle body, it develops a, what do you call it, an appearance that I am good or I am bad or I am happy, unhappy, I'm short, I'm tall. So all these superimpositions happen due to ignorance, and that is called adhyasa, samsarga adhyas, because of closeness, because the gross body and subtle body are so close to this Atma due to reflection of consciousness. So this ignorance happens, and then I start saying, I know. Now, know is a function of the mind and intellect. I is the consciousness. The consciousness only can know when the mind and intellect. So this I know is actually two different things. Knowledge is happening in the mind and intellect, but I, the consciousness, comes from that. So that is how this granthi, they call it, ignorance, this knot of ignorance, K-N-O-T, knot of ignorance, where these two things are married, just as I have a son in my waking world, but in my dream, my son gets married to a dream daughter-in-law. Then when I wake up, I say, I want to bring that daughter-in-law back. She was so beautiful. She had so, her father was so rich. So you can't. So similarly, there are two different worlds, the world of consciousness and this world, and they apparently are married. Tulsi Das ji very beautifully says in Ramayana, he says, Jadat Chetan hi Granthi Padihi. Yadapi Mrisha Shutat Katinai. So he says, even though this attachment between Atma and this Jiva is Mrisha, is false, but there is this knot of ignorance, and because of that, it is very difficult to detach. So how do we detach from the knot of ignorance? By knowledge. Ignorance cannot be removed by, buckets of ignorance. You cannot throw out of your house, just as if your house is dark. You cannot throw buckets of darkness out of the room. You light a lamp. So light of knowledge is what is important. Another factor about this jiva, which I was reading, that what you and I have done, we have created this imaginary boundary that up to where my skin extends, there I am. So this is my body and that is your body. This is my house and that is your house. So we have created this artificial boundaries between individuals. But as we have talked before, at the gross body level, we are all made of 5 elements. We are not different from animals, birds, plants, fish. All are made of the same 5 elements: air, space, fire, water, earth. At the mind level, there is a total mind which connects all of us, called Hiranyagarbha, which we are studying in the Tuesday Upanishad class. And at the level of consciousness, of course, there is only one. So it is this boundary. And why have we created this boundary? Because we have gone away from our true nature. Our true nature is consciousness. And the further you go away from this, the further you go away from others. It should be the opposite, right? If I go away from myself, I should be closer to others. No, actually, the more you go away from God's presence within us, the more you develop selfishness, the more you develop I and my, and the further you go away from others. So the way to get close to everybody else in the family and in the world is to get closer to the truth. And this message of Bhagavad Gita is universal, has been functioning for thousands of years, and is as practical today as it was told to Arjuna, thousands of years ago by Bhagavan. So how do we become one with that? So Jesus said it very beautiful: thy will be done, O Lord, not mine, not mine. Constantly remember that God's will alone functions in this world, and everything is happening because of that. And every opportunity I get, I should get closer to the truth. And that is the only way to evolve. So this world is a place where I am here to grow. And the Bhagavad Gita tells us, attached to that Lord who is functioning at every moment through every one of us. And the closer we get to Bhagwan, the closer we will get to all. The further away I go, it's actually seems very, unusual that I go away further from myself, I go away further from others, because all of us are that one self. And that remembrance is very important. And that is what is said in this, that there are four aspects: the body, the gross body, the subtle body, the consciousness, and the Chidabhasa. And that is what constitutes this Jiva. And this Jiva, using the eyes, ears, nose, skin, and tongue, and the mind, functions in this world. So this is the shloka, which we expanded a little bit on it as to how we function in this world. So that is shloka number 9. Now our journey continues. So Bhagwan will tell us how the individual's journey continues and what is the difference between us and the wise person. What is the difference? How can I determine how far I am from that man of wisdom? That is told in the 10th shloka. Utkramantam sthitam vapi.
Utkramantam sthitam vapi.
Bhunjanam va gunanvitam.
Bhunjanam va gunanvitam.
Vimudhananupashyanti.
Vimudhananupashyanti.
Pashyanti jnana chakshushaha.
Pashyanti gnana chakshusaha.
So utkramantam. Utkramantam. Just together. Utkramantam sthitam vapi. Bhunjanam va gunanvitam. Vimudhananupashyanti. Pashyanti jnana chakshushaha. So utkramantam. Ut means going up. And utkramantam means going up. Up means going above this body, going out of this body. That is called utkramantam. So leaving this body, and sthitam va api, and even staying in this body. Bhunjanam va gunanvitam. Va means or. Bhunjanam means enjoying, experiencing all the gunas, the sattva, rajas, and tamas, all the activities of the gunas when I am attached to those gunas. So an individual could be stationary in this body, could be leaving this body, going to another body, or could be here and either enjoying or suffering these consequences. Actually, I have posted on the Bhagavad Gita WhatsApp a very beautiful video about reincarnation. It's a little long, 11 minutes, but very well explained. So when you have time, please watch that. So it says that while experiencing the gunas, what is the difference between us and a wise person? So Bhagavan gives us one adjective. The adjective is mudha. Mudha means foolish. Vimudha means who has a PhD in foolishness, and that is us. Na anupashyanti. Anupashyanti means, anu has two meanings. One is after being told, even we don't understand. Last 30 years, we have been listening to you or that, in all of the Chinmaya mission classes, but yet we are so strongly attached to the body. Na anupashyanti. Yes, anu also means continuously. Right now, it is very clear. I understood. Why do you keep repeating it? But as soon as we walk out, our ignorance takes over and we forget that I am this I am this consciousness. And then right away, we start seeing differences. So vimudha na anupashyanti. Even being told, they do not see. But pashyanti, who sees? Jnana Chakshushaha, who have this eye of wisdom. The Lord Shiva is said to be have this third eye of wisdom. So they say, where can I find this third eye? I don't have it. Only Lord Shiva has it. How can I find this third eye of wisdom? So we'll talk about that. What is the meaning of this third eye? What is the symbolism of that? So they say that at the time of death, the Udana Vayu becomes active. That's why Utkramantam. Udana Vayu, actually there are 5 pranas. Most of you probably know that. Prana is intake, Apana is excretion, Samana in the middle is digestion. Dhyana is said to be the circulatory system, not only circulation, but all the subtle energy channels that communicate all the energy out to the furthest cell. And then Udana is the 5th one, which at the time of death becomes active to expel this jiva out of the body. Udana does many other functions. It creates creative ability in us, and there are a lot more functions it does, but the one of them that is important is Utkramantam. And the death could happen either in old age or could happen at a young person, even in childhood, accident or illness. So whenever it happens, it is the Udana Vayu, which Utkramantam, which takes us. And Sthitam Vapi, even while staying, we get so caught up in the gunas, I must, and we constantly go between sattva and rajas and tamas. Sometimes I'm knowledgeable, sometimes I'm arrogant and selfish, sometimes I am, lazy. But in all of them, a wise person knows guna guneshu vartante iti matva na sajjate. And that is very important, that always trying to be a witness. A wise person says, I am watching. The gunas are functioning. Yes, now the sattva is there. Now rajas is there. Now tamas is there. As far as possible, I should stay in sattva. But I need tamas at the time of sleep. If I need to work, I need rajas. But all of them should be colored by sattva. So being a witness, vartante na sajjate, I do not get attached. I see, and then I do whatever is required. If activity is required, I do activity. If I need to sleep, I sleep, but never forgetting my true nature, never forgetting my true function. And this connection between gunas and Atma, I heard another beautiful example is like, suppose there is a huge heavy table which has not been cleaned in a while, and there's a thick layer of dust. And then you ask, your son or daughter, can you please clean that? And so she will or he will sprinkle some solution and clean the table, and the dust will be gone and table is spotlessly clean. Now, what has the child cleaned? The dust. Have they done anything to the table? No, table is the same. It is strong, it is heavy, it cannot be moved, and it is unchanged. The dust is the impurity upon it. So similarly, you and I are like that table. We are that consciousness, but we have put this impurity upon us, this ignorance. And this dust of ignorance is what Vedanta is here to clean, to tell us that whatever you are seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, perceiving, feeling, thinking, all concepts, ideas are all temporary, are all illusory. Your true nature is that table. The dust upon it you can clean. And that's what Vedanta does, but does not do anything to the dust, to the table, because the table cannot be moved. It's so heavy. So similarly, this Atma or consciousness is that substratum on which this adhyasa, this dirt of this has come. And so through knowledge, I purify my mind. I make my understanding clear. That we'll talk in the next shloka. And then I see this world as it is. That's what they say, Jnana Chakshushaha. Gurudev in his commentary says, a poetry can only be appreciated by a man of literature, a fine piece of music. You and I might say, okay, acha, it's good music. But a musician knows that, okay, these are the notes and this is the harp playing and now the violin is playing and, what are the surah. whether it's, what tal, what sur, you and I, at least I am very ignorant. I think a music chal raha hai, but they can tell exactly, the note. So similarly, a man of wisdom knows that there is one consciousness illumining everything, all my activities, all my thoughts, all my emotions. The example they gave in the olden days, they used to have that reel. Remember when they had the movie, they had this huge reel. I think all of us have seen that with the projector. And when they shot the movie, it was this tiny, 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 in the film, these little segments. And the entire movie is filmed. So if you look at one segment, you see only one thing. But when it is moved fast, then it looks like there is a continuous movie. Hero is fighting with the villain and punching him. It's actually, if you look at it one time, it is here, one is here, one is here, one is here. But when the movie is run fast, it looks like there is a continuous stream going on. So similarly, as long as our mind is very, very busy and active, the world will look very real. But they say in meditation, you slow down the mind when you observe your breath, when you take deep breaths, when you become a witness. Then in that slow mind, you can see clearly that this world does not have the same degree of reality that we give, because our mind is moving fast. So the movie looks real when it is moving. If the one frame comes at a time, you'll say, yeah, kya picture hai? I'm not enjoying this movie. But when he moves it fast, then you say, yeah, hero and heroine are singing a song behind the tree. But otherwise, the song will also be broken up. So the life you enjoy because you think it is that. But a wise person knows that all this is an illusion, all this is a movie, a natak. And this knowledge that tells us who is this Atma is called alaukik jnanam. Laukik, loka, loka, everybody knows. Loka means this world. So laukik jnanam is knowledge about the world. And that we know very well, whether it's physics, chemistry, mathematics, science, whatever our profession is, medicine, dentistry, law, or about worldly, about food, about those things we know very well. Internet, we can tell what is going on anywhere in the world. So that is all laukik jnanam. And that is essential for functioning in the world. But the scriptures do not deal with that. They deal with how to perform actions purely and then go beyond alaukik, that which is beyond this locus. So that is called alaukik jnanam. And that correct knowledge one has to have of this, what is this loka? What is this? That dhama paramam mama, Bhagavan says, that is my supreme abode. And that we have to know, we have to reach. There is no other choice. And it should be correct knowledge and applied correctly. When the Vedas are telling us something, it is eternal, but it needs to be applied in the right place at the right time, and it has to become part of our, we cannot just take some part of this knowledge. And in the next sloka, we'll talk about what is the clear understanding of Vedas. So clear understanding and right application of this knowledge is very, very important. Talking about clear application and right understanding, this young boy had to write an article, next day it was going to appear in the exam. And some friend told him that the teacher is going to write about my friend. You have to write article about my friend. So he said, I can memorize that. So he wrote all the points about my friend. He said, I'm going to get 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10. But also somebody had told him that if there is a change, you just substitute, like you have memorized bus station, right? And a train station comes, you just substitute. Instead of bus, you put train. Station to wohi hai, you can substitute, right? So just substitute it. Even if the bus nahi come, train come, people gather, and you just substitute. He said, that's a great idea. So he learned about my friend, and he went and he had all memorized, my best friend and this and that. And he looked in the exam paper and it said, my father. So he said, now I have to substitute, right? They said, so he said, I have many fathers, but Manohar Lal is my best father. He says, my mother loves all my fathers, but when Manohar Lal comes to the house, she gets most happy. He said, I don't know if I passed or not, but my parents got divorced after this article. So, so, so he said they didn't get divorced, but they almost got divorced. So the point is that you have to have the knowledge and then you have to know where to apply it. So that is why this knowledge of the scriptures, that is called Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. So listen to the teacher carefully, think about it, and then apply it. And then your life will be fine, and then you will pass in the exam. So do not mechanically live our life, which this guy was doing. Mechanically, he had heard something. So similarly, you and I have heard all this, but instead of just mechanically living it and passing it on, let us become one with this knowledge. And that is very important.
Alert and vigilant.
Yeah, that's what Gurudev always said, alert and vigilant living. My life should be alert and vigilant. I should know what I'm doing and then let my mind not slip from this knowledge. So be alert and watch the mind. Swami Ishwarananda ji had once told me that one of the best sadhanas you can do is watch your mind. What is my mind doing at this time? So when you become alert, and that's what we practice in meditation, becoming a witness of the mind. When you watch the mind in meditation, and with practice, that same skill can be used in life to make my activities better. So that is called drashta bhava, that is called sakshi, that is called the witness. Just as a witness watches what is happening, say he sees an accident happen and then he's called to court and they say who was at fault, he can say, oh, this guy was stopped and another guy, crossed the red light and hit him when he was in the intersect. He is not involved in the accident, but he can tell because he was there. So being a witness of the mind makes the mind slow down, as we had talked in the previous one. The mind that is running too fast and is causing all my problems. Most of our problems are mental. It starts in the mind. So when you can watch the mind, then you develop a sensation of calmness, because the more you connect with the inner self, the calmer you become. That's what we have said. Problems come because we have gone away from our true nature. So that is the message of this particular shloka, that a wise person is always aware of who he is, but you and I, we are caught in this world of gunas and we give reality to that. So that is what the essence of this beautiful shloka is. And he says, do not be vimudha, do not be foolish, but use your wisdom. And what is the wisdom? This jnana chakshu is not that I develop a third eye, but I get the eye of wisdom. As Gurudev says, only a wise person can see what is going on. So this eye of wisdom is what we need to develop. And that is the essence of the scriptures. That is the essence of this knowledge, that you then can see the world as it is, not as an illusion. So that is called eye of wisdom, this true understanding. So we'll go to shloka number 11. Yatanto yoginaschainam
Yatanto yoginaschainam
pasyantyatmanyavasthitam
pasyandyatmanyavasthitam
yatantopyakritatmanaha
yatantopyakritatmanah
nainam pasyantyachetasaha.
nainam pasyantyachetasah.
Together.
Yatanto yoginaschainam pasyantyatmanyavasthitam
yatantopyakritatmanah nainam pashyantya chetasah. So here Bhagavan is using the plural tense throughout. Yatantaha. Yatantaha means those who are putting effort, striving. Yatana means effort or striving. So yatantaha, who? Yogi, yoginaha. So yoginaha means the wise people. Cha ainam. So this truth is known by yogis. And what is this truth? What do they see? Pashyanti. Pashyanti means they see. So in Vedanta, when the word Pashyan is used, Pashyanti, it's not that they see the truth, but they know the truth. Knowing is called seeing. So whenever Bhagavan uses the word Pashyanti, most of the time, 99.9% of the time, he's talking about knowing, not seeing. So they see. Even when we do the Gita Dhyanam, Dhyana Vastita Tadgastena Manasa Pashyantiyam Yoginaha. So in their meditation, the yogis see. See means they experience. Yes, yantam na vidut sura surganaha devaya tasmai namaha. So that consciousness, which is not known even to the gods in heaven, the yogis in their meditation can experience, can perceive. And to that Lord I prostrate. So here Bhagavan says Pashyanti. So yogis see what? Atmani avasthitam. That's how this long word Pashyanti Atmani avasthitam. Pashyanti Atmani avasthitam. So that consciousness which is present in me as I, I am. So that consciousness, Atmani, avasthitam. Avasthitam means station. So this consciousness, which is everywhere, is reflected in me as Chidabhasa. And actually, it is that one consciousness alone that is expressing as me. Pashyanti Atmani avasthitam. Yatantaha api. And people like us, Yatantaha api, even though we are putting effort, what Bhagavan calls us akritatmanaha. Akritatmanaha. One Gurudev translates as unrefined. Akritatmana also means one who has not done what he is supposed to do. So us, Bhagavan gives us one adjective, akritatmanaha. Na enam pashyanti. They do not see who? Achetasaha. So we have two adjectives Bhagavan has given us. Akritatmanaha achetasa. Achetasa means mindless. So those of us who do not use their mind and do not do what they are supposed to do are that. So our goal should be from second line, go to first line. So memorize these two lines and say, I don't want to be in the second line. I want to be in the first line. So let us see. So what do yogis do and what do the ignorant people do? So first of all, what is this? Let's do the second line first. Yatanta api akritatmanaha nainam pashyanti achetasa. So I know where I am and then where I should go. So there are two things. Akritatmanaha means those whose minds are not pure, as Gurudev says, unrefined. Akritatmana also means one who has not done what he's supposed to do. And what am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to create my spiritual personality. See, in our physical personality, we know very well, I must exercise, I must, eat healthy, I must do this, go to the gym, all that. Mentally also, we know, okay, I must read good books, I must have worldly knowledge. So at the body and mind and intellect level, we know, we may not practice all of it, but we know what I'm supposed to do. But how to create my spiritual personality, those who have not created are called akritatmana. Krita means having done. Akrita means not having done that. So that is called akritatmana, means their mind is impure and they have not created the right spiritual personality. And na achetasaha means, again, their mind is not that we don't have a mind. We have a mind, it's applied in the wrong direction. Galat jagah mein lag gaya. Our mind is all the time in the world, and we very little have time for God. So, 5-10 minutes, I did my meditation. That's enough. Bhagwan, I'll see you tomorrow morning. That also, if I'm not in a hurry, if I'm busy, so maybe not tomorrow, parson, theek hai. It's okay. You can wait one day. I can wait. There's no hurry. So our mind is, but for phone call, we have half an hour, 45 minutes to talk. We have no problem. But for God, even 10 minutes, we can't sit in the puja room. I'm so busy. I have so much to do. I have to go here, do this, do that. But for other things, we have plenty of time. So that is called achetasaha. Our mind is, we don't have time for God, and we don't have the right personality. We have not created the refined personality. So they say that there are three factors in any knowledge. Is one who pashyanti, who see. See, like to see any object, what do I need? First, the object, right? Say there is a pen in my hand. First of all, I need to have see the pen.
Object has to
Then
be.
object has to be there. Then I have to be there, and eyes have to be there. So there are the knower, the object, and the instrument. In Sanskrit, it is called pramata, pramanam, prameya. So prameya is the pen, pramata is me, and the eyes are the pramanam. If my eyes are closed, I won't be able to see the pen. So similarly in Vedanta, what is our goal? To know the self, Bhagwan, right? To know who he is, how he is, where he is. That is what the Bhagavad Gita, especially the 15th chapter, tells us very clearly. So Prameya is indicated by Bhagwan, by himself appearing on the earth. He came to show us who he is, where he is, and he taught us through the Bhagavad Gita, his own words. So Prameya has been indicated, and the fact that we are up to 15 chapter means by now it should be clear, right? What is my goal? What is my purpose? Prameya is very clear. Then Pramanam is the scriptures. Pramanam is clear to the masters, but to you and me is not yet very clear. That's why he has said achetasaha, because we have not, it's not that the scriptures have any defect. Our understanding of the scriptures is defective. So pramanam is not defective, but my understanding is defective. So the pramanam also becomes defective, right? If I have studied Bhagavad Gita, but I don't take the right meaning, or sometimes people bring some unusual commentaries in our Bhagavad Gita. So they say that you should follow one path, the path of Vedanta, the path of one, not to be fanatical, but running around here and there doesn't help. So clear understanding and firm understanding should be there. That is the second. And the third is pramata, me, the knower. And most of the defect lies where? In me. The Vedas are perfect. The Bhagwan is perfect. Where is the defect? In me. So what do I need to fix? I don't need to fix the Vedas. I don't need to fix Bhagavad Gita. I definitely don't need to fix Bhagwan. I have to fix myself. Like if my eyes are blurry, I need to go get glasses. Or if I have a cataract, have it operated. So similarly, when my understanding is wrong, I need to fix the knower, that one who is trying to know, and my understanding of the equipment. And that's what the difference between us and the person of wisdom is. That person knows who I am. Pashyanti Atmani Avasthitam. He or she is always aware that I am that consciousness that is functioning in this world. And so for them, it is effortless. That's why their life becomes constant blessing to you and me. That's why we read Puja Gurudev's commentary of the Bhagavad Gita. By the way, if you haven't read 15th chapter, his commentary is masterful. After this talk, please open that and read his commentary. Very, very nicely he has explained. And where is this knowledge? It is said it is in the buddhi. Shankaracharya says in this wisdom in this buddhi, it should become firmly established. And the right knowledge, that's why the Kathopanishad said duscharita. Those who have wrong knowledge or inaccurate knowledge or incomplete knowledge or imperfect knowledge are said to be duscharita in the Kathopanishad. They can never get the truth. So how am I to do that? So what they say, that we have developed so many samskaras, not only in this life, but multiple lifetimes. I am this body and I have to take care of me, myself, and I, dunya baad mein jaye, the world can do what it wants. So those negative samskaras have to be replaced by positive samskaras. Just, it's like an equal and opposite force. Our mind has always been putting force in this direction. Start putting force so that you equalize, at least equalize it. Okay, half the time in Bhagwan, half the time in world, and ultimately all my time should be in Bhagwan. Does not mean you stop working, but every activity, try to see God's presence, that it is because of God. So slowly, this samskaras can be developed, which samskaras which are at this moment pulling me in only one direction. Slowly, by applying this knowledge, this can be strengthened. So they say you reduce your negative samskaras, increase your positive, just as in a tug of war, two teams are pulling, one side is strong, and suddenly on the other side, they get inspired or get some person who is stronger. Then how, when he starts pulling, then slowly, the tug of war gets pulled. So similarly, in your and my mind, there is always a tug of war between the negative forces and the positive. That is Amrit Manthan. When they do the Amrit Manthan in the Puranas, what was that? The Devas and Danavas were pulling, and ultimately the result was going to be immortality. And that the Bhagwan made sure that the good forces, Devas, won, and they got it. Why? Because ultimately, Satyamev Jayate, Anritam. So truth alone prevails. That's why in Buddhism, they say that three things can never be hidden: the sun, the moon, and the truth. Ultimately, it will come out. So that's what it is said. So slowly we increase our sattvic samskaras, reduce our tamasic and rajasic, and live. Tulsi Das ji in his Tulsi Ramayana at the end, he says it very beautifully. Kamini Jimi Nari Priya. Lobhihi Priya Jimi Dan. Timi Raghunatha Nirantara Priya. Lagahu Moi Ram. So he says, I'll translate, he says, just as for a man of lust, of desire, what is he thinking constantly of? The opposite sex, right? How can I, be close to her? How can I get her? And then, all the time his mind is only engaged in that. And a lobhi and a greedy person, what does he think morning to night? Money. How can I get more money, and how can my money get higher, and how can I get better return, and stocks and cryptocurrency. That, and one thing I have never understood, what is cryptocurrency? If somebody understands, please explain. But all this virtual world is going on, and that person is all the time thinking about what is my net worth and how will it grow. So he says, just as a lobhi always thinks about money, just as a lusty person always thinks about the opposite sex, O Raghunath, O Bhagwan Sri Ram, let my mind and Nirantar be always in you, and may I always love you as much as those people love that. Just as a lobhi loves money and a lusty person loves that. O Bhagwan Sri Ram, may I never forget you, and may I have that same desire of intensity. And he ends this Tulsi Ramayana towards the end with that. So the point is that you and I can also develop these same desires, and let my desire for God be more than my desire for the world. Does not mean I don't love my near and dear ones, but I love them as God's presence. God himself or herself is in my house, in my family. And then in the world, so such a person, first of all, has no hatred for anybody. Secondly, he or she knows that Atma alone is real. Whatever is happening because of, I don't know for what, but he or she knows that whatever is happening in my life is meant for me to grow, meant for me to wake up. Even joys and sorrows that are coming are meant to remind me of my true nature. So that's why Guru Dev says, you and I are all in this hospital, and there is a divine doctor who sends us the right kind of medicine at the right time to make us healthy. So whatever is happening in this world is either meant to wake me up or keep me awake. These two lines I had heard somewhere, that whatever is happening is either to wake me up or keep me awake. If I have gone back from my understanding, I have gone to sleep, then this knowledge will wake me up or keep me awake, make sure I don't go back. So that is the how we should study the scriptures, not that, oh, karma is happening, why is it happening to me? No, if it is happening, maybe I need to wake up or I am falling back. And so that's why Kunti always asked Bhagavan Shri Krishna, give me sorrow. So it's only in sorrow that I remember you. But one is to remember in God in joy and sorrow, in joy and gratitude, and in sorrow as, okay, this is meant to wake me up. So then no incident in life becomes unfortunate because everything is meant for that. So today we'll end here. So we covered 3 shlokas. One is that basically the journey of the jiva is finished, that we are all part of that. We are occupying this world, but our journey is sanatana. For many, many 8.4 million births I have gone through to become human. And again, in this body, I might be staying, I might be enjoying, or I might be traveling from one world to another. And then we talked about the 4 aspects, the gross body, the subtle body, the consciousness, and Chidabhasa, the reflection of consciousness in the mind and intellect, which enlivens it. But the reality is only the Atma, not the dirt on top, the table example. And with the right understanding, I know how to purify the pramata, the knower. The scriptures are perfect, Bhagavan is perfect, but the ignorance is in me. And so just as the ignorant person always thinks about objects, may I always think about Ram. May I live my life like Tulsi Dasji. That's why listening to Tulsi Ramayana is very uplifting. Every Tuesday, 7:30 to 9, we are showing that, and we can listen to Puja Guruji. So if you have time, this Tuesday, of course, we won't because we have visiting Acharya, but otherwise every Tuesday, 7:30 to 9, we are doing Tulsi Ramayana audio. And by logging in, you can listen to Puja Guruji, and it's very uplifting, the talks on Tulsi Ramayana. So if we have any questions.
And also the talks that we are going to have from tonight are on mind. And oh my, my mind, please be thinking of all the auspicious thing, not the bad thing.
Yes.
May my mind be always thinking of. So whatever you covered today is going to be emphasized more the same way in that.
Yes.
That divinizing the mind. How do I divinize?
Right.
So please log in today at.
Yeah. Thank you. So Neeru just said 7 to 8:30 from today, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 4 days in the evening, 7 to 8:30. We'll have Brahmachari Soham Chaitanya ji. He's very young but very bright teacher, and he will be staying at the mission. So we are doing classes live. So we would request everybody who lives in town to please come personally. Don't log in on Zoom if you are in town. But if you are out of town, then yeah, definitely Lata and Madhuben and all, our auntie, everybody is welcome to log in on Zoom. But if you are in town, please come personally, because being in the he's coming all the way from San Jose to LA now here. And Satish Bhai has gone to pick him up. So thank him. We thank him for that. So the point is that he's coming all the way. So being in the presence of the teacher, always the knowledge is more clear. And so it is a good opportunity to be present. And also we will at in the evening, there will be Bhiksha. And also if you have an opportunity, please volunteer for that, so you can spend time with him. And we'll have very beautiful lectures. He's also speaking from 11:30 to 12:30, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, satsang. We haven't talked to him yet, but if
I don't think that
that we may or may not do on Zoom, because that might be informal, but we'll talk to him if it works out. But the evening classes, we will definitely do on Zoom, 7 to 8:30. So please log in. Yes, Madhuban.
I missed it about Tuesday. What is Ramayan?
No, there won't be any
Video?
Ramayan this week, but every Tuesday, 7:30 to 9, we have Ramayan, Tulsi Ramayan.
Every Tuesday, 7:30.
7:30 to 9 in the evening. Yeah. So, and the topic for these 4 days is called divinizing the mind, how the mind can be made divine. And as Neeru just said, whatever we covered today about mind, that will be explained further by
more
Sohamji,
details.
Brahmachari Sohamji in more detail, because this text is from the Vedas, and then Puja Guruji Swami Tejomayanandaji has written a commentary called Divinizing the Mind. I think most of you have it. If you don't have it, if you
We'll
come
have
to
the
the
books.
mission, we'll have extra copies. You can buy that, and then you can follow along with him. So please try to log in the evening, every evening from today to Wednesday, 7 to 8:30. Anybody has any questions or comments? We have time. Anything anybody would like to add?
The three sources of light, it was discussed in that the sun, the moon, and the fire.
Right.
Does the moon has its own light, or it's a borrowed light from sun?
Right. It is a borrowed light, and that's why in the Prashna Upanishad we'll be talking about this Tuesday.
Right.
The moon represents matter, and the sun represents prana. So the
Right.
sun is the one that illumines the moon and this whole universe. That's why the sun is said to be prana, the moon is said to be rai or matter.
Correct.
So yeah, but at night the moon illumines, so that's why it's considered like even the
moon gets its light
from the sun, and ultimately
It's a
from
reflected-
consciousness. Same way the fire at night, like the electricity, does not have its own light. It is borrowed from the PG&E, which again comes from that source, like when the nuclear energy is there, or solar energy is there, or when the fuel is burnt. So
Correct.
ultimately everything comes from Prithvi, from earth, and ultimately from Bhagavan. So
Okay.
same way
So
lightning.
even the fire, you would say it's inert energy, except for the sun.
Right. Well,
that
the same energy is there in the sun and in the fire and in us as digestive fire. So the
Right.
heat is there, but ultimately all comes from one source.
Okay. Yeah. Very nice. Thank you.
Yeah, that's what. But in next week he will talk about how I am the source of. When people ask, where is God? So Bhagavan will give us his address, and very clearly you can see. So his address, where you want to find me. So Bhagavan says, if you want to write me a letter, you can write me here. So that is how. Any other
Correct.
questions or comments? I think somebody unmuted.
Yes,
Umaji,
Anilji, could you please repeat when the Ramayana is every day?
Oh, Ramayana
You
is
said some-
every Tuesday from 7:30 to 9 p.m.
We are already
and is
We
it
are
on
already
Zoom?
on Aranya Kant, but you can log in and Guruji will tell us what, if you have the Tulsi Ramayana, what Doha number, what chapter we can announce, and then it is, but yeah, wherever you log in, it is very beautiful.
It's
So
audio.
So 7:30 to
audio.
8:30.
7:30 to 9 p.m. every Tuesday.
And it is by Swami Tejomayananda?
By Swami
The
Tejomayanandaji.
same link.
Yeah, it is same link and it is audio. It's not video, but audio where you can hear it. And if you have the Tulsi Ramayana, you can follow with it. It's
Yes,
very
sir.
nice. He does it very beautifully.
Yes, I have the
Yes.
Ramayana.
He
Yes.
doesn't know all the
And he doesn't do each
All the
each
Doha, but
Doha or
important.
each but what he will do is he will pick up the important ones
he
and
tells
cover
the
them
story.
and then cover them. So which are more important, he covers those. And he'll give the essence of it. It's very nice. It's very beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hari Om.
Hari Om.
So anything else you have from Gurudev?
I have a small question.
Yeah, go ahead.
In verse 10, I just wondered if you had any comments on, well, like in the one line they say pashyanti, and then they say in the next line pashyanti, and it's like it's like a double negative when they use na and
And
Is it
In
just
10th or 11th?
um uh, uh,
Oh
um number
yeah,
10?
yeah. Vimudha na anupashyanti, pashyanti jnana chakshushaha. So vimudha, the ignorant people,
don't see.
na pashyanti, and people who have the eye of wisdom, pashyanti. So there are two different groups. In the first half, it is
Remove.
ignorant people like us. Vimudha na anupashyanti. Even being told, they do not see. But people who have the jnana chakshu, the eye of wisdom, they see. Pashyanti.
But couldn't they both be pashyanti?
No, it is na anupashyanti.
What is the anu part for?
Anu means after. Even after being told, they do not see. Even though the teacher has told them, still they do not see. Na
Oh,
anupashyanti.
okay.
So it is a compound word. Na anupashyanti. That's how we break it. Na means not. Anu means even being told. Na pashyanti. They do not see. But in the second part, pashyanti jnana chakshushaha. So those who have the
Jnana
eye of
chakshu.
wisdom,
They see.
they see. So that is the
Okay,
difference
okay.
between us and the wise people. So that is
Okay.
how the
Yeah,
Sanskrit
Mother.
is. That's how this word is broken up.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Good question. Thank you. Anything else? Any other comments?
See, on the mind.
Sure.
The
Thoda bahut.
Swamiji is going to cover it,
Go ahead.
but our mind has everything in the world has
Thoda idhar aayo.
inherent nature and what is it? The relative.
Borrowed nature.
Borrowed nature. Now, so our mind, by inherently, it is quiet and it is calm, So, but because of that, just like water is by nature cool and calm, but when there are bubbles and all the things, flow of water and bubbles, waves, all these are the relative, all these are borrowed because they depend on the air, they depend on different factors. So same way, our mind, when it is identified or when it is likes or dislikes, that's when when we entertain our thoughts too much, then it becomes disturbed. Otherwise, our mind by nature is quiet.
Right.
So that was another point.
Yeah.
He will cover all these in much detail in this
detail.
book.
Yeah, that is in this.
That's what you pray to the Lord, that may my mind always stay in quietude or see auspicious all the time.
Right. Like the table and the dust, same example, that our inherent nature is calm, but on top there is this dirt of impurity or this mind which is disturbed.
Yeah.
But by nature is clean and pure. So
And
yeah.
how you are growing, you can tell how calm your mind is. Then you know that you are growing in spirituality.
Right. One Acharya had said that when things that used to bother you don't bother you anymore, that means you are growing. So how calm your mind is, as Neeru just said. So that is how we know we are growing. And this book will make it very clear. And this Acharya, when Sohamji, who is coming, will expand on that.
6 mantras are there, beautiful.
Yeah, 6 mantras, but we'll do it over 4 days. So it will go slowly.
Must go.
Yeah, please try to attend, as all of you, and try to pass on the message to others who have not come today. So we can. Okay, we'll do the Aarti now. Om na tatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam nema vidyuto bhanti kutoyam agnihi तमेव भान्तमनुभाति सर्वं तस्य भाषा सर्वमिदं विभाति। बोलिए श्री कृष्ण चंद्र भगवान की जय। आरती श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरु की, दिव्य रूप मूर्ति करुणा की। आरती सद्गुरु की, चरणों में उनके शांति समाए। शरणागत की भ्रांति मिटाए। पाप ताप संताप हरण की। आरती श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरु की। आरती सद्गुरु की। वेद उपनिषद गीता को गाया, धर्म सनातन फिर से जगाया। शुद्ध नीति प्रीति शंकर की। आरती श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरु की। आरती सद्गुरु की। सिद्ध बाड़ी की तपो भूमि में, नित्य विराजे गुरु हमारे। भक्त हृदय आनंद श्रोत्र की। आरती श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरु की। आरती सद्गुरु की। आरती सद्गुरु की। बोलिए श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। We can take the आरती everybody.
मनसेन्द्रियर्वा
बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि। नारायणायेति समर्पयामि। सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ॐ असतो मा सद्गमय, तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय, मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम। Thank you very much. Hari Om.